Hello, Saints fans. Welcome back. Obviously, there was not a post-game show last week because, frankly, I just didn't feel like hopping on and recording me cussing and drinking and cussing again and then more cussing for 10 minutes and then clicking end and then posting that, because that's pretty much all that would happen from last week. Drew getting hurt, a big part of it. The team's performance after he got hurt, a big part of it, even though some of that is understandable. But more than anything, I am so far beyond sick and tired of watching officials significantly impact football games with mistakes that are just simply unacceptable. They're unacceptable professionally, they're unacceptable individually, they're unacceptable, period. And, yeah, I needed a week to refrag my head. Thankfully, the Saints won this week. With Drew Brees healthy, the minimum expectation for success for the first 4 weeks was 2-2. We've now secured that. The Bucs bucked, so the entire NFC South, other than the Saints, is 1-2, which means you have a chance to beat Dallas at home, and they're a very good team, but it is possible. You're going to need to catch a few breaks, but it's possible. But even if you lose against them, the only team that doesn't look like complete ass in the NFC South is the Bucs, and you play them next. So we're putting ourselves in a position where we have a chance to at least play 500 football until Drew comes back, potentially a little bit above 500, and to still have ourselves in a position to win the division, which means a home playoff game, and everything from that is everything from that is winnable. The Super Bowl is not out of the question. It's not likely, or at least not as likely as it was before Drew Brees got hurt. And we'll do the regular show a little bit later this week, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth. But I thought Teddy Bridgewater really played. I mean, there were two halves to this football game. In the first half, Teddy was not good. He had a few good plays, but he wasn't good. Missing. I'm not talking about all the plays with all the penalties and all those things. That was on the offensive line, and I think Teddy's a part of that. I think that the offensive line is so used to Drew and the command and the confidence that he plays with but also brings to those around him. That'll definitely impact how you're approaching the game, how you're executing the game mentally. And a lot of those were mental mistakes. They weren't facing just guys who were better players than them. We clearly saw that in the second half. But they were making a lot of mental... Okay, Will Clapp, the guys are better than him, but Will Clapp was a 7th-round pick that the only reason anybody knows his name is because he went to LSU. So he just got his ass kicked. And he's had, I think, 3 holding penalties in 2019 and 3 games. So, yeah, not great. But all in all, I thought Teddy showed a lot in the second half. I thought he showed that he's probably not going to have a lot of games where he's going to win you the game, but he can do enough to not lose you games. And when the Saints are able to lean on their best player, who right now is Alvin Kamara, and he's able to find Mike. If a couple other guys step up every game and make a few plays, you're going to have a real shot. I also you know what? I'm going to save that for later. I'm not going to kill the defense. We won a really tough road game against probably the hardest to contain quarterback in the league. Russell Wilson is the godfather of junk plays and busted coverages, and he does this to everybody. But I have some comments about Marshawn Lattimore and his play, and it's becoming a trend, and let's hope that it stops at a trend and doesn't become just the way things are, but he's a little toasty, a little too often. But all of that said, the defense, Russell Wilson ran for like 50 yards, and, I always look at the quarterback, for your rushing defense, that's different. Those are busted plays. Now, there was a couple where there was no contain, like those are bad calls. You know how I feel about DA. I think he's solid, but I don't. He's far from great. But I'm not gonna kill them for that. They gave up like 109 or 105 rushing yards total, and Russell Wilson had like 50 of them, and half of those were on busted plays. So, I thought the run defense did a lot. Again, not going to spend too much time killing the defense, even though not a huge DA fan. And just some of the decisions he makes and some of the situations he puts his players in. But with like 4 minutes left in the game, it was like 33-14. I know that they got 2 garbage time touchdowns that don't matter. Really, they got 1 garbage time touchdown, and they literally got another touchdown to make somebody's fantasy team happy. With literally 0 seconds left on the clock and a 0% chance to win the game. Like, it was meaningless. And there were basically 2 interceptions that were killed by flags on that drive. So it's just like, I'm just not going to kill the defense for that, especially against Russell. Russell Wilson just makes wacky shit happen to defenses. He's been doing this for years. The media has a really bad habit of anointing players well before they're ready and calling guys who are great players who are really good players with great supporting casts, or a winner who's got an amazing defense and a run game to lean on, and you go, oh, he's not the reason. Russell Wilson's not those guys. He is all caps special, has been from when he came in. He might be the perfect mobile quarterback, because he is a true, complete pocket passer through and through. He is not a running quarterback, but he can run anytime he wants, and he's quick and fast, but he's also fluid. Like, Russell Wilson's just a pain in the ass. The Saints probably have 3 or 4 sacks today against any quarterback other than Russell Wilson. On that note, also, I see some of you guys on. Yeah, you guys got to get the fuck off of Davenport's case. He was a raw prospect who's got a freaky toolkit, who needed development, and we knew that. He's in his 2nd year after an injured rookie season, and he's basically had impact plays all 3 games through the season. He's playing well in the run game. He's, other than a few times against Watson week 1, which, again, Deshaun Watson, special player. Like, sometimes great players just make great plays, guys. He had a very strong game. He's doing a really good job of creating ops for other people. I'm not saying he's going to turn into Lawrence Taylor or pick your pass rusher, but the amount of shitting on him by Saints fans is just kind of ridiculous. Yes, we would rather have Patrick Mahomes than Marshawn Lattimore. Yes, we would probably rather have Lamar Jackson rather than Marcus Davenport. But we don't have those players. Now, Mahomes we would have had. Like, we didn't pass on Mahomes. They traded up over us because Andy Reid went, Sean Payton is pretty much my only peer for offense in the league, and he sees the same things I see, and I'm not letting him have that guy, mine. And that sucked, but that happened. But, Lamar Jackson, we passed on him. Yeah, he's special. He really is. He's playing great. Boo-hoo. Okay? Like, stop killing Davenport because of what you don't have for the spot. Give him a credit for the player that he's supposed to be, and the player that he is, you can be mad for the assets and say, we could have got 2 good players out of that or this or that. Probably even true. But don't kill him for that. You can be mad at the organization. Like, he's playing very well. He's having a positive impact on the defense. As far as I'm concerned, the Saints won this game, 33-21. That's the way this game went. The Saints won the game 33-21, and that last touchdown doesn't fucking count. That's stupid. That shouldn't even have been allowed. Like, they literally should not even be allowed to give that extra play. Like, there should be a rule where if time expires on a penalty and the team isn't within 8 points, like, the game just fucking ends. That was retarded. Personally, with that kind of situation, like, if I'm the Saints team, I would have just started holding and just keep making them call penalties just to piss them off. Because you already won the game. At this point, just, okay, fine, we're going to make the officials keep throwing flags every single play until we get a play that we liked. Like, we're just going to hold everywhere just to prove a point. I might be a little excessively petty there, but, yeah, that was, as far as I'm concerned, they won 33-21, and, you don't miss an extra point, and, a failed 2-point conversion. You just kick 2 extra points there, which I do think the slipperiness of the turf had an impact on Lutz's kicking. It's really 35-21. And again, I'm adding points and subtracting points that really happen. Like, the final score is the final score. But if you're trying to grade the team's performance, the Saints went on the road after having just lost their Hall of Fame quarterback and beat a good, not great, but a good Seahawks team in Seattle, where they are a completely different team. You have to give them credit for that. That counts for something. So, yeah, no. Overall, I'm very happy with the win. I won't say impressed. I'll say I'm very satisfied with the way Teddy Bridgewater played, especially in the second half. And to be fair to Teddy, because I was hard on him, and I'm going to be hard on him, you're following Drew. It's not a fair or an easy task, but I'm sorry, it's the one you've been given. So you're going to get held to a standard that that some other people don't get held to. And he doesn't have the greatest group of receiving weapons to throw to, which again, being fair to him, doesn't help. But I'll say this. I think that a part of the offensive line issues and part of Teddy's issues and all of that in the first half, some of it comes down to weather, some of it comes down to crowd noise. Again, there's a lot of factors in there, but I think at the end of the day it really comes down to he hasn't gotten his game legs back yet. And I don't just mean that from a physical standpoint. This guy had what should have been a career-ending, life-altering injury, and he fought his way back. But he hasn't played real football on purpose in a really long time, and physically he's ready. But just from a rhythm and a preparation and there's a I know I can do this, and then there's you can do this. And intellectually and by practice habits and all of those things, he knows that he can do it. But when those rounds are live and those bodies are flying around and there's plays to be made, there is going to be that feeling in the back of your head of, well, what if I take a bad hit? Or what if I can't complete this? And then, he didn't play well against Carolina last year, which was one of the starters. Like, holding him accountable for that was ridiculous. That's just not fair. He played really bad against the Rams. Again, tough situation, but now you're playing with the starters and you kind of dropped a deuce. But that's expected from the backup quarterback, but it's still not good. You come out against Seattle, the offensive line has penalties. Now, it could be cadence issues, it could be confidence issues, it could be nerves for them. It could even be, hey, it's a combination of the crowd noise, the nerves, the different cadence. They're not comfortable with the new quarterback back there, and they all love Teddy, and they really want to do good for him, and their nerves are just a little bit extra. And they kept on having procedural errors. Like, all of these are possible explanations. I'm not saying they are the explanation, but they're all reasonable presumptions. But once he settled into a rhythm, he really started making some good plays. Now, that said, 15 minutes in here, let's talk about the real star of the show. There were several great football players on the field today. Bobby Wagner has an argument for the best linebacker in football. Russell Wilson is, at least in my opinion, right now today, he is a top 5 quarterback. Mike Thomas, I mean, he's definitely top 5. Where you think he belongs as receivers, he's definitely towards the top of the group. Demario Davis is probably the number 1 most underrated player in the league. Cam Jordan, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. I think Cam Jordan is he's definitely the most underrated end, and I think he's the most complete edge player in the NFL today. All that said, the best player on the field is Alvin Kamara. And Alvin made sure you were aware of it time after time after time. And, the Seahawks players, a couple of them said what they're supposed to say after the game. Well, we knew what he was and not taking anything away from him, but we just missed tackles. Hey, dude. I think Luke Kuechly had a game like a week ago where he had like 20 tackles. Like, he's a tackling machine. He's a defensive player of the year. He's a monster. Alvin Kamara gave him an aneurysm. Alvin Kamara damn near gave Bobby Wagner an aneurysm today, who, like I said, has an argument for the best linebacker in football. He's just that good. You can take the extra arm that your brother doesn't have, and you still wouldn't be able to tackle him, okay? Alvin Kamara is just special. His balance, his elusiveness, his vision, but like I've said it a million times, his reaction time is not normal. He responds instinctively to contact and has such unbelievable poise and body control. He's just able to make plays that normal human beings simply cannot make. He's as special as they come. They knew the game plan was get the ball to Alvin. And we got the ball to Alvin and he killed him. And Alvin Kamara took the game over and won it for the Saints. And that's really what we're going to need over the next few weeks to have a chance. Alvin and Mike, they need other guys to step up enough so that teams can't just zero in on them, but those 2 guys are going to have to carry us. Teddy is not going to carry you to a win. But Teddy can, if he can rely on those 2, if he can lean on them, they can carry you to a win with Teddy. Against almost any team. Like, you're not beating Kansas City or New England or those teams with Teddy Bridgewater. You need Drew. And you need the defense to really improve and probably to get rid of Dennis Allen. And nope. Being positive. But yeah, no, Alvin Kamara he's incredibly special. He's insane as a talent, and he's just so much damn fun to watch. Saints really, they really can thank him for this win. So we only got one question. I was taking out the wife for dinner, so I didn't throw out the prompt for questions out here, but we did get one. So Davis Douglas just said, given the circumstances, setting and balance among the 3 phases of the team, was this one of the greatest Saints wins? I won't say it's one of the greatest wins because we've beaten a lot better teams and we've beaten them much more convincingly. Now if we'd beat them 33-14 and all of the circumstances around the team in this win, I think you might have been able to say, but that's not what happened. They beat them 33-28, and like I said, the garbage time touchdown and all, but those things still matter. When you're going to talk about one of the greatest Saints wins, I'll say this though, this is probably one of the coolest Saints wins. Sean Payton was in his bag. Kind of reminded everybody of, yeah, guys, Drew made Drew, but I made Drew. I found Alvin. I designed this offense. I got this. Does that mean we're going to beat Dallas next week? I don't know. But I wouldn't want to have anyone other than... The only coach I'd rather have than Sean Payton is Bill Belichick. I'll say that for my head coach. He's the only guy I'd take over him. Probably would have Andy Reid third, and you can discuss among yourself. Probably John Harbaugh fourth. I mean, this wasn't a coach's ranking question, but I think just from the aspect of Teddy coming in and the story and the narrative and beating the Seahawks in Seattle with all the trauma Saints fans have from that stadium and just how annoying the whole stupid 12s thing is. You take all that together, the punt return, the fumble, return, all of those plays, all the good things the team did. It was a team win. I think it's definitely one of the coolest wins, but I wouldn't call it one of the greatest just because, I mean, there's probably maybe not 24, but there's at least a dozen, just in the Sean Payton era that blow this one out of the water as far as a great win because you're beating better teams and you're beating them more convincingly. Obviously the Super Bowl is number one, but probably the number two win is when they beat the brakes off the Patriots in 2009, and you'd put the Miami win and probably the Washington win from that same year. That's going to be part of your top five. At least for me, the 60 burger they dropped on the Colts in 2011 is one of the most fun. That would be one of the coolest, but I wouldn't say that's the greatest win because you dump trucked a team that didn't belong on the field with you. So it's just seeing how many really great wins this team has had over the years. I wouldn't go that far, but it's like I said, I think it might be the coolest. It's an amazing thing that they've done. It's a sign of great coaching. They really do have great talent, but like I said, there's going to be some guys we're going to talk about on the later show this week. They're not playing as well as they should be able to, and there's really starting to be questions of, is it ability, is it coaching, is it scheme, is it confidence, whatever the fuck it is, figure it out. But all that said, we came into the year looking at this, this first four games saying, look, 3-1, and look out world, 2-2, and that's really what we're shooting for. 1-3, you just can't have it. We avoided 1-3. The worst will be for the first, 4 games is 2-2, and that's what we were shooting for before Drew. Now the team was shooting for 4-0, but just being, objective and realistic from a fan standpoint. I think this is a great win. I think it's meaningful. I think it matters for the team. I think it matters for the morale. I think it matters for their confidence. It's huge for Teddy. I think because of winning this game, there's a real chance Teddy could win next week against Dallas. I think if they didn't win this game, Teddy would get the brakes beat off of him. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, but happy they won. Hell of a play, and the season's not done. And when Drew got hurt, and the Rams started to pile it on once the Saints defense got exhausted last week. After the refs fucked us again, I'm not going to lie, it felt like the season was over. You got no Drew, you can't catch a break. Every time you make a big play, the referees take it away. The offense is just dead on a doorstep. It's not a good feeling. Hopefully they can build off of this and they can continue to improve because it is a 16-game season. It's not a 4-week season. And if you're better at the end than you were at the beginning and you win your division, then you have a chance. Especially with what we have on this roster. If Drew comes back and he's Drew, you have a chance. Can't ask for more than that. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you guys again later this week. And great win team.
Hey, yo, the Saints is going to win.